Well, first off, thank you for everyone being here today and kind of carving out your time. So I've kind of been given a few, ways to pitch this to you to kind of show you. So I'm going to kind of guide you through the story of Routine Factory, how this all got started, and how I got to be the guy in the U.S. really kicking things off for a company that started in the Netherlands. So everyone should see my screen. Hopefully, if I can just get like a brief head nod. That way I know. Good. Awesome. You guys are awesome. Thank you. And the thumbs up emoji. Cool. Awesome. So this is kind of just kind of be our short meeting agenda here. That way I stay on track. Otherwise I get off in the weeds very easily. So first off, who are we? We are a small international assistive technology company. So the guys on the left are all from the Netherlands. So Hare and Wouter are the founders. They actually went to college together. Hare has 3 kids who have autism. And so he was actually looking for a tool for his family, and kind of just over the years ended up creating Routine Factory. And so Wouter does all the technical stuff. So it's great that we build everything in house, because kind of our secret sauce is a customer comes to us, or even a customer that we're going to be working with comes to us and says, hey, I love this, but I also needed to do that. We can actually build that in rather quickly. So that's kind of been our secret to success. And me, I kind of have an entrepreneurial spirit. I was going to build Routine Factory. I have a brother-in-law who has autism. And so I've worked for him for 5 years as a direct support. I've also done some personal assistant work on the side, and just generally love interacting with people of all different abilities. I have a lot of fun with it. And so I was going to build something for him, but thankfully landed on the 10th page of Google one day, and sent a message to Hare. And here I am a year later, launching things here in the US. So in 2007 is where all this really got started. So this is where AudiPlan was born. So this was the tool that Hare and Wouter built for Hare's kids. So really geared toward children with autism and ADHD, and just structure, predictability, kind of just a rough app for about 8 years. Just kind of a hobby project. And they just kind of played with it. Wasn't anything serious until about 2015. And this is where care organizations started either wanting to use AudiPlan, but it was too childlike, or they were, saying like, hey, this is great, guys, but I want something more for everybody. And so in between 2015 and 2017, they really spent a lot of time on the app, which I'll show you kind of a brief look at today. And then in 2017, they were using the app, they were loving it. And it was like, okay, now we want to get these whiteboards and sticky notes and these other things that are on a wall off the wall, and make that more accessible, and as well just kind of into the 21st century of sorts. That's where the information board came from. That's a visual support that's text to speech enabled, as well as fully interactive for the clients. So this is, as you're kind of guessing here, this is all really based in the Netherlands. So there's about 425 info boards online in 21 countries. The 21 countries is more kind of just scattered across the globe using the app. We actually launched our first info board in Canada about a month ago. So that was really exciting. So we're still very small and really getting things up off the ground here in the US. So, and that's been a mixture of group homes, day services, and assisted workplaces. Employment services have really helped me into kind of getting into the organization of sorts, because they're, from my experience, they're a little bit more open to innovation on using step-by-step guides and checklists and those types of things. So that's just kind of some of my experience. But so this is all really geared around self-reliance. And so why, and this is kind of a silly question, but why is self-reliance important? Well, this is really from our experience of when you start stimulating self-reliance, it kind of sets this chain in motion of the more self-reliant you are, the more confident you are, and then the more self-determined, and then your self-worth increases. And that's really what it's all about at the end of the day, is driving self-worth, and as well as self-direction, and making these individuals served as independent and confident as possible. And so that's best really been done with our assistive technology, because this is just kind of everything these organizations have ever dreamed of that no one's had the opportunity to build until now. So this is what I'm going to be kind of showing you today. So on the left, we have the info board. So this is the visual schedule. So this is really designed to have those clients answer their own questions. So those questions commonly are who's working later, what should I be doing, what am I doing later, what's for dinner today, what's the weather outside, those types of questions, but they may not always have something to go to really answer that question. So they end up waiting around for staff or asking staff, or if they have the same question multiple times throughout the day, kind of just wears down on the staff. And so by using the info board, we can create a fully customizable approach for those clients so they can either visually look to it or they can just tap on it and have that answer read out loud to them. So that's really geared towards the group homes and residential services and day services. And on the other side, we have the app, which is really geared towards the individual. So the app, you can think of as a day living prompting tool and a bunch of other tools packed into an app. So step-by-step guides, checklists, timers, reminders, and a whole bunch of prompts to carry that person through their day as independently as possible. So this is used either by clients who live in group homes and go to day services or who have a job. And instead of using a laminated check sheet or a checklist or something like that that's paper, they can use their app, and then everything gets sent into the online environment. And I may have time to show that to you today. Not really sure, kind of just rolling with it, to be honest with you. Because I know we have about 30-ish minutes. So yeah, it's the online environments where everything's tracked as well. So you can see how things are going, if things are being completed, skipped, or failed, or if they're just not being done at all. So just kind of a quick way to kind of keep an eye on things. So this is just a short little video of how the app is being used by a client in the Netherlands. So kind of just a cool little video to show just kind of the practicality and how it's used. And so I'm going to stop talking for a second and play this short video.
Ik ben Christa en ik woon hier 3 jaar. En ik gebruik nu 2 jaar lang mijn eigen plan. Ik gebruik mijn eigen plan. Eigenlijk bijna alles. Eigenlijk zit mijn hele geheugen zat in mijn eigen plan. Ik merk heel veel verschil van voor en na mijn eigen plan. Want voor ik mijn eigen plan gebruikte, motten me mijn begeleider Iane heel veel tegen mij. En dat vond ik niet leuk. En nu is dat vele malen minder sinds dat ik mijn eigen plan gebruik. Ik heb ook overal UR-codes hangen in mijn kamer. Die heb ik samen met mijn begeleider opgeplakt. Dat wel samen. Gebruik ik voornamelijk als dienst die ik al vergeet. Zoals bijvoorbeeld als tas gaan inpakken. Dat ik gewoon mijn tandborst niet vergeet. Die scan ik ook wel als ik ze nodig heb.
Ik ben Iliana Westhuis. Ik ben persoonlijk ondersteuner van Christa, onder andere op de locatie Polenstraat van Trialen. Wij merken aan Christa dat het echt een positieve verbetering is voor Christa om mijn eigen plan te gebruiken. Ze is er veel zelfstandiger geworden. Het contact tussen ons is anders geworden. Het is wat positiever. Het is meer vanuit Christa zelf dan dat het vanuit ons hoeft te komen. Waardoor je niet inbreekt in haar moment. Maar dat zij kan kiezen wanneer het moment voor haar is om naar ons toe te komen. Waardoor het voor haar gewoon prettiger is om het op die manier allemaal mee te maken. Het is een hele handige tool om te gebruiken om cliënten naar hun zelfstandigheid te laten werken. En je kan er altijd een keuze in maken wat het beste past voor welke cliënt. Christa is een cliënt die heel veel zelfstandig kan, die dus ook echt het helemaal zelf kan bedienen. Maar ook wij als begeleiders of als ouders kunnen makkelijk toegang krijgen tot mijn eigen plan en haar ondersteunen waar nodig.
Ik zou niet meer van mijn eigen plan willen en kunnen. Want het is veel lekkerder werk als ik mijn eigen plan heb, vind ik.
So you may have guessed Mayakplan is the translation for RoutineFactory. So that is also why they're speaking Dutch. So that just kind of shows, and like Krista said, of reducing friction between the caregiver and the client. I actually noticed that even with my brother-in-law. The guy would never clean his apartment. And I mean, there was days where we were going to go to war with each other. And then, then one day I just put a checklist together for him to clean his apartment. I put it on his app. And then next thing I know, I heard his vacuum cleaner running. And I was just like, and so it's kind of the light bulb went off for me. Oh, wow, this actually works. So I'm going to show you here really, really quick, just kind of a flyby look at the app and how it really does help with more self-reliance and less conflict in those persons served. So So the app, the first thing I'm going to say is everything you see can be completely customized. So you can use these photos that are inside of our library. You can use photos from the internet. You can use photos from that person's environment or no photos at all, and then color coding as well. So one thing that one of the first really things we learned was not having it look too kid-like and having it just very open to whatever it needs to be for that person. So being able to go through a straightforward task of, marking eating breakfast as done, I tried and failed, or I skipped for today. And these two buttons can be turned off as well. So just allowing that task to be completed. So just a straightforward task. And if so, something requires a little bit more prompting, like a checklist, you can create a checklist with as many steps or prompts as you need to get dressed in that morning. So you can put a photo of the trousers and a photo of the shirt. So getting dressed as we go. And then for a task that requires even a little bit more prompting than a checklist, you can use a flip book. So being able just to swipe every step of the way and see how something should look all the way up until we're finished with that task. And so this app is also text-to-speech enabled as well. So if you were to tap on that, you could read it out loud. So you can get auditory prompts as well as visual prompts. So that is, so then this can be built as I have a taking out the trash example, because this can be used even if that person's at work, so they can see how something should look, even if that a photo of that trash bag all bagged up and what it should look like all the way as it goes to the trash can. Last thing I'll check here is just that we also have an emotional thermometer built into the app. So this can be 3 faces or it can be stretched out into 5. So allows that person to check in with themselves, but as well as, even with my brother-in-law trying to have the guy tell me how he's feeling. He may just say, I'm fine, but really he's not happy or something happened at work that day that I don't know about. So being able to select how they're feeling, and then they can even type in something extra here or tap their microphone and speak it in. So, if today is a great day or whatever it may be, can mark that as saved, and then that gets sent into the online environment, which is on the right. I'm not going to really get into that because I'm definitely going to run out of time, but that is where everything is tracked and managed. That's where all these checklists and tasks are all created. You can also create them inside of the app as well, since this is also designed for the person served to be able to create their own activities and maintain their routine as well. So both the app and the online environment were created with that dual intent to be able to really just have a user-friendly experience. So one thing I will touch on before I move on is that we have digital assistants, which I think you guys would think is pretty cool. So if you have a QR code on a wall, you can go up and either scan it with the phone or tap on the assistants, and then you can create customized assistants. So if like the washing machine that we saw earlier, you can tap on the washing machine assistant, and then you can have a built-in specific checklist, activities, or even a phone call button, so they can call someone if they need help or if they get frustrated, or even a way just to really provide some maybe some coping mechanisms if they're feeling frustrated. Really, the creativity is the limit when it comes to the assistants. So yeah, that is just kind of a quick flyby look at the app. So next, I would love to show you the info board. So the information board, but before I get into it, I'm going to play this video and I'll let you guys see it for yourself. So here we go.
Maaike. Ik werk bij Sherpa op locatie Dichtershof in Weesp. Ik werk hier ongeveer 14 jaar en we zijn net een jaartje begonnen met mijn eigen plan. Sinds we eigenlijk de digibord gebruiken, merk je dat de cliënten heel erg enthousiast zijn. Ze vinden het ook heel erg leuk om met een digitale netwerk te werken. En ook wel handig is dat het informatiebord ook in pictovorm is, op fotovorm is. Dat voor sommigen die dus niet kunnen lezen, het wel ook gewoon kunnen zien aan de hand van de foto's. Wie er bijvoorbeeld wat we gaan eten en wie er komt. Waardoor we ook gewoon naar hun kunnen verwijzen van als ze dus een vraag hebben. Zo van, kijk maar even op de digibord, dan weet je gewoon wie er morgen werkt.
Ik ben Eline Stam, ik ben 37 jaar. Ik woon sinds 15 mei 2011 in Weesp. Ik ben zelfstandig bordvuller achter mijn computer via dit roosterbord. Donderdag maken we samen met de begeleiding de menu. voor vaste dagen. Ik maak hutspot met een rookworst met mosterd.
Het is gewoon hartstikke leuk om met cliënten gewoon samen zo'n bord in te vullen. Omdat we samen met de cliënt ook gewoon op het informatiebord kijken. En ook dat we samen ook gewoon filmpjes kijken. En om een beetje leuke dingen doen. Dus het is een verrijking van ook het ondersteuning. Maar ook een verrijking in het samenhorigheid met elkaar.
And if anyone joined in a little bit late, the reason why they're speaking Dutch is because the parent company of RoutineFactory is in the Netherlands, and so that's where all this got started. So just like we kind of learned from this client-caregiver relationship, is it's actually fun to involve the client in maintaining their routine and their visual schedule, so they can do that all in the online environment. So it's a cool way to involve the client and empower them into taking care of that themselves. This really helps with just having that overview and clarity through the day. So knowing who's working later, what should I be doing? What am I doing next? And having those visual supports. But instead of having it on paper or Velcro or those types of things, having it to where it's just, more accessible and also could just be used in that digital format. So really, to jump into it quickly here, this is just kind of what a information board would look like in a residential setting. So as you see my mouse moving around here, the way this was built is this is actually a website. So inside a RoutineFactory's online environment, it'll spit out this specific URL that's a RoutineFactory URL. And so all we have to do is freeze it onto a device. So whether that be on a tablet, like a large size tablet, or on a monitor mounted onto the wall. So we could put that there and then it could just stay stationary, but it's also going to continue to, so if we need to update this remotely, we can update it and then it'll be all done, without having to be in the room with it. So we could see who's working and create a customized staff schedule and who's working. One of our most recent additions was through a special education center in North Dakota. They wanted first then. And so Wouter, I worked with the school district, and then Wouter did all the back end and all the work on it so they could see what they're going to be doing now, how much time they have remaining on this task, and then what they're going to be doing next. And then you can also do a checklist on the info board as well. So if they need to just go through and one by one tap on these items, they can do that. So you see my mouse moving around here. Just think of it as a finger of a person interacting with it. But so being able to see on the start page what's important. So today it's 100 degrees in Kansas because it's awful weather here. But so we can also see, if we're going outside today, we're definitely going to need to be wearing some clothes that are going to be more winter clothes or more of summer clothes, less of winter clothes. So we're still kind of fine tuning these graphics down here. Those can be turned off or turned on as well. So everything you see can be completely edited and changed to whatever benefits that person most. And then having the meal schedule. So instead of having it on a paper sheet, those clients can actually see what they're eating today. So we're going to be eating carrots today. So I could go up and I could tap on my name, and then I know that I'm going to be eating carrots that day. Same thing with the activities, being able to sign up for activities. There's also a way to dispatch chores because the app and the app and the information board work together. So if we went up and we signed up for a chore or signed up for an activity, that would then appear in the app as well. So really the app is an extension of the information board, since information board is really home base and used to just be that main visual support and main guide through their day. And we've also implemented some fun stuff. So there's 2 of a kind that I hate playing during demos because I'm really bad at it. I could find 1 or 2 and then it just goes downhill quick. So being able to also have some fun with it, as well as putting any YouTube videos up on the screen as well. So instead of just turning them loose on the internet, you can create a customized YouTube playlist, put that on the information board, and then they can watch whatever they want to watch there on the info board. So this is just kind of, all the functionality and things I'm talking about here are about 20 95-ish% of everything that this can do. And we're continuing to update it and make it better every day. So we have some really cool projects that we're working on right now that I'm really excited about that I can't talk about yet, but that's just kind of a quick, just kind of a quick flyby of the info board. So we actually even had a customer from the Netherlands really help me here in the US too, of having some research behind the information board. So they polled both their staff and their clients. I think they spent about a year, if not a little bit more, on polling both the staff and the clients and what they thought about the info board. It was great because it saved about 16 minutes per week per employee, and it contributed to the well-being of the group. And then on a business side, they had a full return on their investment within the first year. So that was even more great to see on that side of things. So that is really just kind of I've been trying to be really good about not getting off in the weeds and talking too much, but I'd love to hear what you think about this, as fellow innovators and entrepreneurs.
Thank you, Pat. And feel free, people, to just speak up and ask any questions you have. If you'd prefer, you can put the questions in chat and I'll read them.
Perfect.
One thing I wanted to ask to kick us off, Pat, is, as the sibling of a disabled person who lives at home and not in a group home, do you work with individuals who may work with DSPs or with a care organization, but they're in their own home? And have you set the info board up in that environment before?
Yeah, we have. It's more uncommon than common, primarily just because of the cost standard. So the info board it's $100 a month per board, and then that's usually stretched out into a yearly billing cycle. But generally, we have a few families that I talk to every once in a while that use it, but most commonly it's used for even people who live inside of or who are the independent living side of the organization. So we even have info boards in that setting too. So yes, I guess the short to long answer is yes.
Cool, thank you. And one more question that I got texted to me is, oftentimes folks will need to quantify, progress or goals that they're working on. Mm-hmm. Do you have any sort of reporting that people can use to find out if goals are being met, or if there's certain parts about somebody's treatment plan that aren't working?
Right. So we do have a kind of in the online environment, it's more of a person-centered approach. So you can create customized goals, and those have to be manually reviewed with that person. So essentially, it's just creating an ultimate goal, creating the checks to get to that goal. Reporting is something we're working on. That's something that I am always welcoming feedback on, because this is not a behavior documenting tool. This is really all about promoting independence, and so we want to be able to have something to have a report of sorts, but we're still trying to figure out what exactly that looks like, to be honest with you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Okay, any other questions that we have for Pat? We've got 2 more minutes, so now's the time.
I see Bonnie put in her email, or I think it's Bunty, maybe. I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm saying your name wrong. I know I'm saying your name wrong.
Yeah, and feel free, everybody, to check the chat. There's contact information in there if you wanted to reach out to anybody.
Actually, you said my name perfectly, Pat. So,
hooray!
Which is unusual. So, you go.
First time's the charm.
Anyway, one of the things that, as I looked at that, and I was looking at reports, and I am the parent of an adult with a disability who has staff a great part of his day. Mm-hmm. And what I was looking at that I was really impressed by is sort of your little smiley faces that allowed the individual to respond to, did I do a good job with this? Or, did I get it done or whatever? And I think that might be something to look at when you're looking at reporting.
Yes, most definitely.
What is the perception of the individual?
No, 100%. Thank you for that. That is very helpful. Yeah. We have a few customers we're working with that are really wanting that. And one of the hardest things, as I'm sure as everyone else here can understand is just not trying to create a reporting feature that's so broad that it's cumbersome, but trying to pick and choose what everybody really wants. And the emotional thermometer is one of the top ones there. So yeah, well, perfect. Well, I really appreciate everyone's time, and you know, this is, if you could share this, I'd appreciate it. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, I'm happy to. I'm really the marketing and sales force behind RoutineFactory, and so any help or suggestions is greatly appreciated.
Well, fantastic, Pat. Thank you very much for your